All right, let's get right into it. We're going to tackle a paradox that could completely change how you think about heart disease and your own health. It all starts with one single question that our current medical approach just can't seem to answer. Let's dive in.
So here it is. This is the big one. For decades, we've been told to watch our LDL, our so-called bad cholesterol. But if that's really the whole story, then how do you explain this? Why do literally half of all heart attacks happen to people whose cholesterol numbers are supposedly in the safe zone?
50%! I mean, let that sink in for a second. That's not a rounding error. That's not a small group of outliers. That's a massive blind spot in our understanding. It's a huge sign that we've probably been measuring the wrong thing, or at the very least, not the most important thing.
Okay, so to solve this mystery, we have to go back to basics. We need to deconstruct a fundamental misunderstanding that's been around for way too long. This whole idea of good versus bad cholesterol, honestly, it's not very helpful, and it's definitely not precise. The real story is way more interesting.
So first things first, cholesterol is not the villain here. Not even close. It is an absolutely essential molecule for life. Every single cell in your body actually makes it. You need it to build your cell walls, to create vital hormones like testosterone and estrogen. A better way to put it is no cholesterol means no you.
So if cholesterol is so critical, how in the world does it become a problem? Well, it all starts with a simple transportation issue. See, cholesterol is a lipid, which is just a fancy word for a fat. And as you know from making salad dressing, oil and water, they do not mix. Our blood is mostly water, so cholesterol can't just float around in there on its own.
And this is where the human body is just brilliant. It came up with this amazing solution called a lipoprotein. You can think of it like a tiny microscopic submarine or a transport ship. It cleverly packages the oily cholesterol on the inside, and it has this water-friendly protein shell on the outside. This lets it cruise through your bloodstream, no problem.
And this slide right here, this is the absolute game changer. The old way of doing things, what we call LDL cholesterol or LDLC, is basically trying to measure the total weight of the cargo inside all those ships. But that can be really misleading. The modern view understands that the real danger isn't the amount of cargo, it's the sheer number of ships themselves that can cause a traffic jam in your arteries. And the way we count the ships is by measuring something called apolipoprotein B, or ApoB for short.
So, you're probably asking, okay, why? Why is counting the actual ships so much better than just weighing all the cargo?
And the answer is just so elegant. It's really beautiful. It turns out nature gave us a perfect barcode. Every single one of these little transport ships that has the potential to cause plaque, every single one has exactly one ApoB molecule on its surface. It's a perfect 1-to-1 ratio. So if you measure ApoB, you get a direct, accurate count of every single dangerous particle floating around in your blood. No guesswork.
And this is what makes ApoB so powerful. A standard lipid panel only really looks at LDL, but ApoB counts the whole shebang. It captures the entire fleet of potentially dangerous particles, VLDL, IDL, LDL, and even this really nasty sticky particle called Lpa that's mostly determined by your genetics. So ApoB gives you the total number, your total burden of these plaque-causing particles. Okay, so we've figured out what to measure. That's a huge step. But the next logical question is, what can we actually do about it? So let's take a look at the modern toolkit for managing your ApoB.
You know, we basically have three main levers we can pull here. First, there's nutrition, things like reducing saturated fat and simple carbs. That can definitely help. Second, there's exercise. Now, exercise is amazing for pretty much everything else, but it actually doesn't move the needle on ApoB all that much directly. Which brings us to number 3, pharmacology. If you want to make a truly significant, meaningful reduction in your ApoB number, medication is hands down the most powerful tool we have.
And the really good news here is that we are living in a completely new era of medicine. 20, even 10 years ago, the only real option was to put you on a high dose of a statin and just hope for the best. The landscape today is, well, it's completely different.
Just take a look at the toolkit we have to work with now. We still have statins, of course. They're the workhorses, effective and cheap. But we can combine them with drugs like ezetimibe, which works by blocking cholesterol absorption in your gut. Then there's this really clever drug, bempedoic acid, which is cool because it only becomes active in the liver, so you avoid a lot of the systemic side effects. And then you have the big guns, PCSK9 inhibitors.
These things are incredibly potent and super safe. This allows doctors to create a much more precise, personalized plan to lower ApoB.
And just to give you an idea of what's possible with these new tools, some of the leading doctors in longevity medicine are aiming for some truly aggressive targets. A goal of 30 to 40 milligrams per deciliter. That's a level you'd see in the bottom 1% of the population. And for almost everyone, getting that low is only possible by using these modern pharmacological tools.
So, all of this, the new metric, the new drugs, it's all leading to the most important point of this entire explainer. This isn't just about better treatment. It's about a complete and total shift in our philosophy. It's about moving away from late-stage treatment and toward early, aggressive, and lifelong prevention.
Let's be really clear here. The scientific evidence is overwhelming at this point, from genetics to randomized controlled trials to epidemiology. The link is solid. High levels of ApoB particles in the blood don't just correlate with heart disease, they cause it. And that distinction is everything.
This smoking analogy just makes it crystal clear. We all agree that smoking causes lung cancer, right? So can you imagine a doctor telling a patient, hey, go ahead and smoke for 30 years. We'll just wait until this 10-year risk calculator tells us your odds of getting lung cancer are high, and then we'll tell you to quit. It sounds absurd. It would be medical malpractice. And yet that is exactly how we currently approach the #1 killer on the planet. The takeaway is just this simple. If ApoB is the thing that causes the fire, the only logical strategy is to keep that spark as low as possible for as long as possible. We need to focus on preventing the fire from ever starting, not just getting better at putting it out once the house is already burning down.
And that leaves us here with this final, crucial thought. For decades, we've been asking, is my cholesterol normal? But normal is just the average level in a population that is dying overwhelmingly from this exact disease. Being average isn't the goal. The real question, the one that could fundamentally change your health trajectory, is this one. Is my ApoB low enough to actually prevent this disease from ever taking hold? That's the question that matters.